in the radio live. Sits hum, beat like a heartbeat pulse. Electro dreams where we are lost. Neon waves take us back in time.
Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, the Massage Owner. We're at a very special episode of VSW Podcast. Tonight we have the one and only Yessir. It's him, Aries. Welcome.
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me, dog. I appreciate it, man. I thought it was overdue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing you do some pretty cool things for quite a while. I think the first time I saw you actually wrestle might have been back in I think it was back at a actually pop-up wrestling show back in the day.
Yeah.
With my friend Ty used to run.
Yep.
Might have been with the tag team, and then I've watched you through all the different promotions, Atlantic, Focus, Rad Pro, even working that and having some fun there. And man, you're out there doing it. I mean, you're holding gold in two major companies right now, looking good.
I appreciate that, man. I've been trying, just trying to stay focused, just taking it step by step, being more serious as like time goes and stuff, and just like trying to understand the aspects of like the inner works of the business, right? But then also the aspects of, the body and the importance of just trying to stay healthy on that, staying up with all that. And so it's just like, it's been a lot, man, but I'm just trying to go for the ride, fam.
Now, when did this journey start for you?
I'd say like maybe 2021, I think I started training, and then because it was after COVID. So it was 2021. I started at NEPWA. And then I was there for about 3 months. Then life situations pretty much happened. And I had to go handle business, did that. And then it was just something that I was like, I need to try it. You know what I'm saying? Because 3 months wasn't enough for me. I needed to see if I could do more. And I ended up stumbling across Next Gen Pro Wrestling Center here now in Auburn, New Hampshire, but at the time it was in Manchester, New Hampshire, ran by Bud Browning. And since then, dude, I just been going full throttle, and it's been crazy. It's been crazy, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a ride since 21. Like I said, I mean, you've hit some pretty good high points in that time frame. It seems like you really came out running when you did come out. And Napwa, great school, Next Gen, great school, both great schools, both producing stars, both producing people that you're seeing now that you're probably going to see in WWE sooner than later. You see those IDs flying around, you see where they're from. And it's a great time to be a fan and a wrestler because there is a lot of excitement going on in the indie with all this. You came in at the right time.
Nah, yeah, for sure. And I feel like right now more than ever is starting to be like, I feel like the indies are starting to be as hot as they were a couple, 10 years ago, and just the way that I guess you could say just how the business in a sense has been evolving, it's been evolving in ways that is honestly for the better, right? Like getting out of old ways from back in the day, how toxic things used to be, and just trying to stray away from those and really putting foots down on trying to take the negative people out of the business and making sure that they stay out and making it a much more healthier environment,
Yeah, I feel like, it has, maybe back in the day, maybe, people just looked at it as more as business and money and opportunity. And now people kind of put those money, aside and look at, the overall picture. Is this going to cause damage later on or later? And a lot of the toxic people have been weeded out. 2020 helped with that. And from that, I think it steamrolled into people just calling people out on their bullshit when they see it,
Right.
You see or hear something over the weekend in the locker room. It doesn't wait months. It gets talked about on Monday morning.
Right. And there was just, I felt like back in the day, it used to be a sense of people were scared to speak up. and now it's encouraged, and I think that's very well too. So
Yeah, you're not going to lose your spot. You're not going to get blacklisted. It's okay to, speak out against this because at the end of the day, you're making it a safer environment, not just for yourself, but for everybody.
100%, man.
And nobody wants to be that person, from 5 years ago, that go, oh, we were working for this horrible person. He was doing crazy ass shit in the back.
Right.
But why did you count? Oh, we didn't want to lose our job. And like you think about all the people that invested in that company and put money into it and all that, it's like that all just went to some evil ass person. That can all be eliminated just by saying, "Yo, this is going on. This needs to stop."
Right, right. So yeah, man.
But yeah, I think right now the industry's in a really good spot. Like I said, you got a lot of wrestling happening. It kicks off Thursdays now. The wrestling open every Thursday, and it just goes straight right through the weekend.
Yeah, man. It's great. It feels like everywhere, especially like what I've noticed lately is just that a lot of the places in New England were like packing out houses, bro. Like Chaotic right now tonight is actually sold out.
Sold out,
Atlantic Pro
right?
Wrestling tomorrow in Derry is gonna be. If it's not sold out already. Last time I checked, there was only 2 front row left, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? So like, it seems like it's very healthy right now, and I think it's freaking amazing, dude.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I can look at the shows over the weekend that I know that I'm going to. I didn't get to Chaotic tonight, obviously. I will be going to the one when they come to my hometown in Watertown. Though I always like to go to that show. I like that venue. They got the stage seating, which is like a little bit higher.
Yeah. Yep.
Kind of you can just get a better view. I'm really kind of picky about views. And Chaotic does something different a little bit that I think a lot of the companies kind of pulled back from. And that's still using the guardrails.
Yeah.
And those guardrails are higher than you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
I moved a few of those around.
there is a few. I know why they're there, and I understand it, and it makes also for a good place to Irish whip somebody. But sometimes, man, it's like move the guardrail. Let me see what's going on.
Funny.
But I do like the little bit of an elevated view. But like I said, tomorrow night, Focus Pro gonna be packed out too. There's gonna be a lot of people there. You're gonna be defending the title there. I mean, your first title defense.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
You got a story there that's been told. We're gonna get into that a little bit. I'm going up to Maine the next day. Sunday. Matt Cardone is going to Limitless. That's a big name to come to an indie show.
Yeah, dude.
I know he's a king of indies, but like
man.
to come to an indie show that's tangible, not GCW. I don't gotta go to Jersey. I just gotta drive maybe 4 or 5 hours into Maine if I don't get lost. But these shows are all selling out, and they will. They'll continue to sell. People are invested not just in the talent; they get invested in the stories. I mean, you got great stories like I said, what happened with Focus, that's a great story going on there. But even story driven and character driven wrestling, like what you do in Rad Pro, right?
Yeah.
You change your character up a little bit. Everybody changes their character up. And it makes it such a fun time.
No, it is. And I think it's something so unique and different and fresh. And like I feel like it's such a good challenge as like somebody like me, where it's like sometimes I like to step out of the comfort zone and try to have to be put in a scenario, because that you hear stories like that all the time where guys go into somewhere expecting to be one thing, expecting to be who they are, but then get thrown a whole different gimmick. And the ones that end up being successful are the ones that take that gimmick and make it their own, right? Or just fully immerse themselves in it. And I feel like Rad Pro is like the best place right now to get a taste of what that's like. Having to force yourself to wrestle a new way, present yourself a new way. And it's just so fun, dude. I love working.
And for the people that don't know, like I compare it to something like it's got the level of quality of wrestling that you'll see at Chaotic Wrestling, right? But it has like the character driven and storylines that you might see as something that might be used to see it like Chikara or something. They drew a lot of that, inspiration in. So you get like you said, a fresh product, and you get to see people shine in different ways, and you'd be surprised how many people actually do pull that off and are able to do multi roles very well. I mean, but one of my favorite is Roberta. Roberta's like Ginger Snap is one of my favorite characters. She
Yeah,
comes out. Little Mean Kathleen does an amazing job with that character,
yeah,
and the crowd loves it. People are throwing cigarettes at her. You know, she's throwing candy at people. It's funny and it works. Um, you know, now you got BMT and Ariel coming out with the whole family. That's been very entertaining.
yeah. Like because like who's doing that? No one's doing something like that. You know what I'm saying?
No,
That immediately stands out and makes it different. And then when you have people in the light of BMT and Ariel who like honestly we had the privilege to you know run a program together in Chaotic, like that honestly in my opinion BMT is fucking a mastermind, dude. And like I want to have a one-on-one match with him for sure. But both of them, they just get it. They get it. They understand the
yeah,
sport. They
they
understand how to
know this
maximize it.
business. They do. They have a really good eye for this industry. They've been around and they just know, and they're really both of them are just great people, phenomenal people, and great for
100%.
both the locker room and for the fan. Like just really good people.
Yep.
But you're also holding gold too in Atlantic Pro, right? You're tag team champs.
Yeah, I'm one half of the Atlantic Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions with my tag team partner, Kid V. Yeah, man. We're two-time Atlantic Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And that's been a fun ride, man. It's just been like tag team wrestling was a whole nother uh, challenge in itself while trying to develop and understand just the aspect of a singles. But it was engaging, it was fun, dude. And then like I'm there with Kid V, who's like that's my dog, bro. He's on the other side of this wall right now, you know, and like we've
Did you know
experienced so
him
much.
before going into wrestling, or did you guys meet in wrestling?
We met in wrestling. I met him when I first started at Next Gen.
Nice. You
Yeah.
know, and you guys, like I said, I've seen you tag here, you tag in, you know, Rad Pro, you Atlantic Pro, okay, oh, you've done it all over the place, and you know, but you're also, you know, mastered in the singles, you know, division. You know, you're
I wouldn't
holding
I
gold.
wouldn't say I wouldn't say master guy. But
Well,
yeah, I
you've got
feel
a
like
title. You've had to do something right.
nah, yeah, of course. You know, I feel like I definitely grasped that a lot more. Um, but yeah, I'm always learning, dude. There's always things that I feel like when I think I have it, and then I'd meet someone else, and I'm in the ring with someone else that has another understanding of a whole different way, and it just opens eyes. Like that happens all the time to me, dude.
Well, there's always somebody better, right, or more knowledgeable, somebody with little wisdom. I think, you know, and like wrestling, like anything else in this world, it can be looked at as learning, constant growing. You know, every match you do, win, lose, draw, whatever goes on, you're gonna learn something. You're gonna pick something up. You're gonna take something home with that.
Right,
And it's gonna make you a better wrestler if you use it the right way.
100%.
You know, and it is. It's all, you know, you might work guys that have been in the, you know, the business for 20, 30 years that are going to teach you this wealth of knowledge. You might be with someone new and they might not be able to teach you what you think you're going to learn, but you'll see things that will be like, okay, I need to work on myself on this or that or this. You know,
100%.
you'll pick that. It's amazing what you can actually learn, even just from watching wrestling. Like if you actually look at it with the right mindset.
Right.
No. And because you know, watching wrestling for a long, you know, and especially in the indies, you can watch people's arcs. So you can see where people started and when they came out of school and they're green, and to when they do hold titles and they're on IWTV and they get an IDs and they in a, you know, WWE, AEW, you know, people like AG. I remember him back when he was like refereeing in NCW.
Mm,
So, you know, you can watch that arc right to the top and it's like you can see that it's tangible there.
100%, dude.
But what do you prefer now? Because you do both. You are holding chimneys both. Do you have
That's
like tag work or do you like the solo work?
um, it's hard because I feel like this is a sellout answer, but I love them both. You know, it's really hard for me to pick one because singles, there's something unique about being a singles competitor, and then there's something unique about being a tag team competitor. You know, like the stories you could tell in a tag team match with just because you got two extra bodies, you know, or three extra bodies. And
And the
then
chemistry and
yeah, exactly, you know, and then like singles, it's for me, it's the way that I could connect with the fans and really have that, you know, relationship with them, making sure they feel heard, making sure that, they feel something. Um, I feel like it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to do that in a singles compared to a tag team.
Yeah, the
Um,
singles, you're almost, it's like your personal story, your personal journey, and people are following that. With the
right.
tag, it's there, but it's more like a storyline. It's let's see what this tag team's gonna do. But it's hard to grab to just one of the tag members, unless one of them is wildly more popular, something like HBK and like Marty Jannetty, where everybody just breaks up and it becomes the talk of the town. It's hard to get that kind of limelight on a tag team that you would on that solo person. And I can see that, like the journeys have been different for you in different promotions.
Yep.
The way you've had to go through, endure, who you've had to fight, the competitors. Um, and now let me ask you, when I believe I saw you at Atlantic Pro, it was during the Rad Pro / Atlantic Pro show. You were injured at that point, were you not?
Yes. So, I don't know when it happened. I'm probably gonna say it happened in my ladder match, in the summertime. But there was like a little, like, not a fracture, but it was a pars defect in my L5, and like I was really nervous because I've never knew anything about it. Like I was like fudge, because leading up to that, finding that out, like I knew something was like feeling weird, but I wanted to finish what we were doing in chaotic before anything else. I didn't want to like, when Kid and I won the chaotic tag team championships, that was like so huge. And like the last thing I wanted to do was, the reason why we lose those championships is because of injury. I wanted to follow it through. I wanted to follow through the program. I wanted to show chaotic and their fans how serious the neighborhood were when we came in here. That we were really about business and we were really about going to work. Um, but after that happened, that's when I kind of had an idea of what was going to be going on over at Focus Pro. So that injury, like leading up to it, would have pretty much jeopardized almost everything. Kind of honestly would have changed everything. Luckily, it wasn't as serious. I ended up just taking 3 months off and then doing physical therapy, and just using the workouts and exercises that I learned at physical therapy and just using them in my regular every day right before I go to training. If I'm about to have a practice match, if I'm gonna have a show, right before I'm going out there, just applying those, and when I'm hitting the gym, applying those as well. But yeah, thank God it wasn't anything serious, more serious than that. And I didn't need surgery or anything like that. It was something
No,
that,
thankfully, because injury is something that just happens in run. I mean, you could just be walking to the ring, get injured. You could be training the wrong way, get injured. You could, something could happen in a match. And you could be doing all the right things. You could still get injured. Like injury isn't always just somebody messed up and made a mistake. I'm injured. Like it can happen just naturally.
yeah, it could be off of the most simplest stuff. You know what I'm saying? It could be your something that you wouldn't even think. You'd be like, damn, for real? You would have thought that this other thing would have really put you on the shelf, but unfortunately,
Yeah,
that's just how it works.
but it's one of those things that I mean, you're never really prepared for it, but you kind of, it's in the back of the head, you don't want to get injured. But it's one of those things I've been told that the more you think about it, the more you like, if you go into a match and spend the whole time trying not to get injured, you're probably going to get injured within like the first minute.
Right.
Like you're just
100%.
going to forget all your bullshit and you're just going to hurt yourself. Like,
No, and for me, it kind of just like, it opened my eyes more, and made me be more vigilant and thoughtful on how I approach my wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Being like mindful of that, and also just being able to protect it more, understanding the bump card thing, understanding that I saw a post on Facebook. I can't remember who posted it, but it was like, be smart about your bumps, because it's like, it's not worth it having a hot 2 to 3 year run and then it mean nothing else because you done did stupid bumps and not and work dumb, compared to having a 10, 20-year career based off of being more smarter on how you approach everything.
Yeah, no, it is one of those kind of things where, yeah, you want hard work, but you need to work smarter in wrestling. You can do less bumps and still say the same story.
They always say
Um,
less is more, man. They always say less is more. That's
and,
not that's
and
been
if
preached to
it
me
gives
since day one.
longevity to the career, then why not? I mean, I think it's reasons why even people like, like The Rock and stuff were able to come back and do what they do is because they went in, they did what they did, they left for a while, they didn't, just continuously grind and bump over and over every night.
Hmm.
Where other people like in ECW were going crazy and just trying to do the most craziest things, and they didn't have long careers.
Yeah, so it's just like I want to.
You have the long career, but your body isn't just not the same. You're taught, you're battered up, you can barely walk. And you see that even with normal wrestling. It all depends, and you don't think about it when you're younger, I guess, and you're because you look at like TikTok, you got all these big spots. You look at YouTube, all these big spots, Facebook, big spots. So you want to get into that, but it's like you said, less is more, and you'd rather 10 years down the line still be making spots on YouTube rather than watching somebody else's, because you blew your knees out or you blew your back out.
Right, 100%, dude.
But I tried the whole. When I was younger, I wanted to be a wrestler, but I was very small statured. And wrestling was not for little people back then, like not for smaller people. There was no mid card. It didn't, there was no like the Chris Benoit era. I would say like it wasn't there. It was like late, early 2000s, 2001, 2002. Nobody was really into that card yet until later on. And so, they were like, "Oh, you could be a rep, you could be this, you could be that." I was like, eh. So I got into boxing, and similar to that, there's things in boxing you do similar to wrestling, like especially during training and stuff, that you just get your body conditioned so that it can have the lengthy time, and you conserve your energy. You don't go out throwing all your punches first round, so you can go 10 rounds. You can go, however long you need to go.
Hmm.
I'm guessing the same as with wrestling. You need to be endurance, and you need to not blow out your body. But you're only going to have a 3 minute match or a 2 minute match of something decent, and then your opponent's carrying you the rest of the way because you're gassed out,
Yep.
and that's not good.
Conditioning is so important. And that was something that like I just tried to nail on me myself heavy the moment I kind of like notice anything slight. I'm like, all right, now I'm in next gen freaking blowing myself up trying to work on my pace and working on my breathing, making sure that I'm not blown up in those back and the 10th round type deal. Um, and that is such a huge aspect into it. And like you're right, I feel like boxing shares that same element because I know a few boxers and I've seen some of the you know training sessions they've had, and I feel like it's very similar.
It is, you're training a million minutes for like 20 minutes. You're training for a lot longer than you have to, but you need that endurance because you don't want to be tired. And it's weird with any of these kinds of combat things. It's not so much your physical body that takes you. It's once the mind starts playing, the mentality starts taking it. It wears your body down. And if
Hmm.
you're not conditioned right and your memory isn't there, then you're not going to have the muscle memory to do what you have to do and perform properly. Whether it is boxing and defending yourself, whether it is wrestling and doing whatever you have to do, it's like it is kind of the same. And that practice, the repetition, all that's very important, especially in being able to perform at that level when you get tired or fatigued. Because like even in the worst of times when you're fatigued in boxing, could be the later rounds, your body will automatically shell up. You'll defend yourself. You won't just leave your hands down and get popped in the face.
Hmm.
There's certain things that you just do automatically because you get the muscle memory and it's just used to it.
Right.
But let's talk about your journey a little bit in Focus Pro. When well, at the end of it, you cashed in what would be like their Money in the Bank. How did you get that contract? What did you have to do to get that?
So I had a fatal four-way match to determine the winner of the cash and carry contract, and that match it consisted of me, Brad Cashew, Danny, it was supposed to be Danny Miles, but then it ended up being, I believe, Lex Lawless, uh, and then Leo Sparrow.
Okay. Nice crew there. Bunch of tough competitors.
Honestly, it was probably one of my. It was one of probably it's one of the matches I hold close and that like I really, really like am proud of because I felt like what we were able to cook up there felt so like it was I don't want to say TV, you know what I'm saying, but like best way to describe it is like TV type of stuff where it's like the way that the falses were, we had ref bumps, the I felt like we had the crowd from like moment to moment, and it was just like it was an experience that I was like, holy crap, I can never forget. Working in there with those three guys, it was that being my first time with Lex or Rex, I believe it's Rex. I don't I'm sorry, but he's a freaking huge motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, God damn, you know. And then I was in there, Brad and then Leo, and I've gotten to share the ring with them a few times. So it was just like cool, like these are guys that I looked at a level and that I've seen on a level that I'm like, I want to be there. And then being in a match with those guys and then walking away from it being like, okay, I'm proud of that. And it's really like I rarely ever walk away from matches and like I'm always like I could do better. Even if it was a great match, I'm always like, yeah, there was something that I felt wasn't right there. That match I was like, man, everything felt right. Like we hit the beats we were trying to hit. And again, just being in there with those guys, it
It's
was a
like
big
the
thing.
perfect storm. But it's not it goes to show you that honestly, like indie wrestling when it's at its finest, and a lot of these promotions that we've been talking about are at its finest. I mean, granted, not all indie wrestling is the same. We know that. There's promotions that pop up and they can be terrible promotions, but I mean, me myself personally, I don't get involved with the negative side of wrestling. So a lot of the promotions I go to, and I think New England has some of the best, if not some of the best promotions out there. But goes to show you that the only thing that's missing between these promotions and what you're seeing on TV is just that $1 million budget. Because the matches, when done right, are just, if not even more enthralling because you got a more intimate crowd and the people are really right on you and they're really into it. And they're calling you by your first name, they're chanting you. And you can hear that. It's not just a million people screaming. It can get more intimate and you can have these moments. And like I said, all it's missing is those $1 million budgets. Because some of the indie wrestling I've seen, and actually a lot of it I've seen in the last year, have been more entertaining to me than what I've seen on TV.
That's
I don't watch TV wrestling every week. I watch highlights, but I do try to tune into at least, the shows that I watch either through WTV or the ones that I go to every single month and see what's going on. I missed the last Rad Pro show, but like as soon as it dropped, I made sure to watch it. I was very wanted to see who was going to win. I wanted to see if Rob Slab was going to beat, Angel Intellect and retain, or if Angel Intellect was going to become the new champion. Like I get more invested in the indies than the mainstream, but it's because of matches like you just said and storytelling like you just said, and people that care for the smaller crowd. Because you could go in there and just look at it as a stepping stone, or this is just a place for me to shine to get to the next level. Or you could look at it as a place to, you know, um, um, make it your home. Make the best of it. It might not be it might not be WWE where you're at, but while you're there, you can make it on the same level, the same par. And a lot. Sorry, I'm just getting my cord. I forgot to plug it in, but
no worries.
no, some people, forget that, but others don't, and they take their promotion. Doesn't matter how big or small, very serious, and you see that difference. And I love to see it, But like I said, New England itself, whether it's up in Maine, New Hampshire, Mass, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Jersey even. We can go out that way. And then the Philly area, just some of the best promotions, best wrestlers running right now.
No, 100%, man. And I'm honestly just taking it day by day and just trying to make the most out of every moment and opportunity I get to be out there, and just be able to perform. Um, because I definitely put myself underneath that category of I treat every match like it's my last match or like the most important people are watching. So I'm always giving it my all, giving it a lot of thought. And like my mind thought is never like, how am I going to be better? It's just like, how can I look good, be good? How can my opponent look good, be good? So overall, this match is a great match for the promotion we're working on. You know what I'm saying? And that's the mentality I've always been in, and that was something that was instilled in me by Bud really early on. And
It's a good
it's
mentality to have because one wrestler doesn't make a show. It's a whole promotion, and it all reflects on that promotion. Even if you had a great match, if the promotion is looked bad upon, it ain't gonna look good. And vice versa. If you do bad, you're like, oh, that bad match with this good promotion. So it's like this two-way street, and you want everything just to shine right. You know, it's a great mentality to have, and it's what gets people titles. It's what gets people in the promoters to want to, these people to represent their company because they care about not just themselves, but the industry, the company, the promotion, the fans, everybody. They've taken on that role of caring about it all.
100%.
But so you got this contract, you won that four-way, and then what month was that? I didn't start watching Focus Pro, believe it or not, until like May. I got hooked when I saw that the Stan Styles show was coming down there. I got hooked to that, and so I went to the May show, and then I had some family stuff go on, so I kind of was out of the loop until about October.
Yeah, so I believe that Fatal Four Way happened in November. Don't quote me on it. I'm like my memory's terrible, but it sounds to me I believe it was November. Actually, yeah, November 30th. It was the poster's right behind me.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's won the cash and carry contract in November, and then cashed it in October. Right?
yeah. No, I think the
No,
following November.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah. Forget what I said. I won it November 30th, man. That's what it was. But yeah, that happened in like the end of like fall time is when that match happened.
yeah. No, and like I said, I've watched, Tyree. He was a very dominant champion in Focus Pro.
Yep.
Um, and nothing to take lightly, but you just kind of must have were you just watching and waiting? What was your strategy on how you were going to catch this in?
Um, it was it was more of a mind game, right? Because the way I cashed it in wasn't sort of say how I initially wanted to. Um, I believe in fair fighting. I believe in like I want there to be a fair shot regardless because that way there's nobody saying anything about I wasn't 100% this that and the third. But then Tyree started to kind of do some douchebaggish things and say some douchebaggish things, and immediately the first thing he did after winning my cash and carry contract was attack me from behind, put me in a torture rack with a chain around my neck, which in all honesty added to the back injury that I was dealing with. So immediately after that, that's when I took my break. That's when I was on the show for 3 months. And in those 3 months, this man took away something from me, or almost did, something that I built honestly by myself. I was never number one on the roster when Focus Pro came to town. You know what I'm saying? It happened off chance, happened off
Yeah,
opportunity,
you
me
were like
jumping
that
on it.
silent hero coming in, just kind of doing your own thing while simultaneously everybody's doing their thing. But you're on this
100%.
path to the success, and not many people witnessed it until the end of it. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
And they didn't see it, and Tyree did that to me, and I said, you know what? Like you gonna you gonna give me that energy, I'm gonna bring it back. You know what I'm saying? So I did that. Desmond Cole had, Tyree beat. I give him that, even if Tyree want to say otherwise. Um, and Tyree still came up on top, but that's when I felt like that was the moment to trigger. He felt
And I
like he
mean,
done did it. Well over a year as champion, feeling untouchable. I gave him that reality check because
well, if
he
he was
gave
really
me a reality
untouchable,
check.
he would still have the title. He would have beat you that night. And, you know, you had a tough match that night, but, you know, you might not have won, but you learned a very important lesson of don't slip. You know,
Hmm.
Marcus Mathers told you don't slip. Now, let me ask you, how was working Marcus? That looked like an intense match. He's a great wrestler.
That that match again was a dream match for me, a bucket list match for me. Um, especially going into, so like when it was announced and I figured out we were working. That was before he got WWE ID'd.
Yeah, that was before the ID. That's before he was IWTV champion. Like, that was just, he was just there. He was good, but he was
No,
just there.
100%. He was doing the rounds, GCW, all that stuff. So immediately he was somebody I wanted to tussle with. Then WWE ID got added, and I was like, damn, okay. Those guys are looking at him. They see something in him. This is a test to myself to see if I could hang with someone in the likes of that, And if I can't, what am I gonna have to do to change so that I can? Um, on top of being out for 3 months, that being my first match, my conditioning, my biggest concern was my conditioning, and um, I'm still like kind of building my conditioning back up since the coming back from the injury. So my biggest thing is I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to let the fans down. I didn't want to let the promoter down. Being like, damn, am I not gonna be like? I had doubt in myself as if I was gonna be able to perform the same way. Um, but it felt like from the response and from what my peers told me in the back, and just watching it back and critique, yeah, there was definitely some moments there that for me as in a training eye, in a training sense, that I pointed out and I've seen. But when we're looking at the core aspect of what makes a fun, good professional wrestling match, we hit those beats. That was the first time ever in my life, in my career, that I locked up with somebody, and off of that lockup, we got a "This is awesome" chant. That was the biggest thing. Like for me, it felt so surreal, and it felt like, wow, these people really are invested in both of us. They're invested in this
Yeah,
match.
I mean, I was obviously there, but like there was both these guys' chants going on because like there wasn't a clear cut fan favorite. There wasn't a clear cut, good guy, bad guy. Um, Marcus has been very dominant across the board. Obviously he was going for that IWTV title. He actually got what he wanted. But it's cool to think, because obviously he got, an ID that people went back, watched these matches with him, WWE guys, and they probably watched the match that you had with him, you know? And they're
Yeah,
like, probably look at this guy. We might want to check back on him and see what he's up to in a couple of months. You
yeah,
don't
man.
know. You don't know who's watching now and where these things are going to get shown. And that's the great age that we're in. That's social media working in the right way.
Yeah,
The wrong way is all like the bullshit that happens and fans fighting and all that. But the good stuff is that people can get noticed and seen.
yeah,
Um, and fans take videos and they post it. People see that. Podcasts like myself, we try to get names out there and get footage out there. Then you got the
100%.
promotions themselves to get their videos out there, and that takes off. And then the individual wrestlers get their footage. So a lot of people can be seen just by footage. It's
100%.
it's it's a whole different kind of day Where like, back in the early days, I mean, like, I know people that were saying, well, we'd have to send in audition tapes or switch tapes, and people would have to go find footage. Like, wasn't this easy?
Yeah.
Um, and even just to get a hold of bookings, now you just, you can just DM somebody or say, hey, do you have any open spots on such and such show, or do you need any help on such and such show?
Right.
But you did take that chance, when after, like you said, he declared victory over Desmond Cole. And nothing against Desmond. You're going to be facing Desmond. He's coming back, but he's another top competitor in the game right now. He's holding gold and limitless and other championships as well across regions.
100%.
That was an exciting match. He's someone also that's really kind of 24 has kind of been his year to shine. And so, like I said, that was a great match, but you took your chance and you made it happen. And I have to say, I think the fans were behind you when you did it. I mean, the pop was huge. People were happy.
Surreal. So real.
What was it like for you? Like just having, winning that, being there, being in that moment.
So I did a little mini doc on YouTube where you could really like follow that 24-hour journey there. You just search up Monty Aries on YouTube. It should pop up. But the closer it got, the more that like the more nervous I got, because then there's those like where do we go from here? How do I keep the investment? You know what I'm saying? How do I evolve? How do I work and think in the mindset of a champion like that? Because again, holding tag team championship, it's I have somebody with me, but holding singles championship, it's just me. You know
A little different.
exactly, and it's a huge test, and I think it's something that I'm ready for. And it's something that like that day getting closer with the stuff prior, I was just like, I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens. And we go out there, we're doing it. Music's playing right before I run out there, and I'm just focused. I'm in zone. You know what I'm saying? And we go out there, we do the deal, and I come out there, man, and I just think about everything. I think about everything in the last 3 years, last 4 to 5 years, right? 3 years on shows, and I think about the last 5 years of my life. And I like I think I was very stubborn young, and that led to burnt bridges, and I was well aware of it. But I felt like I was doing it for the right morals. But 4 or 5 years ago, I was on the streets, homeless type deal. Like not knowing where I was gonna lay my head next. They get really feeling worthless and all that stuff, and it's like that's not no like cliche shit. Like I was really there. I've experienced some shit that like I probably wouldn't want like somebody, my worst enemy to have to deal with, because it's a
Real life is
mental,
not pretty. Like the real
yeah,
real life is not like
it was a huge mental strain, emotional strain, but I knew I had to get right. But like for it to happen in a span of 5 years, I was at my first indie show was 2021 Chaotic Countdown, and Ichiban was there and Tyree Taylor was there. And that was the night where I was like, yeah, I want to do this for real. And even then, I was 305 pounds. I wasn't in shape, but I didn't think probably at the very most I'd probably get like a match or two and, maybe hope to get a chaotic countdown, and that'd be the but I ended up surpassing all those goals, and it was crazy, man. It was a realization to myself that damn, you really you really put your mind to it, bro. It can be done. You really speak that shit and you believe that shit. It can be done, but also understanding the work that got to be put into it, the sacrifices that got to be put into it, the decisions you got to make that you don't want to make, or the things that you have to face that you don't want to face. you know, that you've been running away for so long. And it wasn't until I started approaching those that things started turning around in life, you know, and things started being different. My views started being different. The people I was around started being different. And it was crazy. It was crazy, man. So that's all I was thinking about. Because at the end of the
Well, it's
day, I
good
just
that you were able to like even notice that you were kind of stuck in that kind of a situation because some people don't know where they're even at, and they just
nah,
get
hundred
into
percent.
that trap and they're there, and there's no way to get them out unless like somebody else sees it. So like acknowledging that you had you're in this kind of a situation and being able to pull yourself out and kind of figuring out what to do to get where you want to be. That's all like very hard to do. That's just not like easy to do. That takes a lot of work, like you said. There's a lot of work involved, a lot of self work, all things you have to look at about yourself. You probably didn't want to look at.
No, 100. Yeah,
You
you
know,
know,
and that goes for anybody. Any kind of work when you're trying to make change with yourself, you really you do. You have to look at yourself. You have to look at yourself in a different way. You have to strip yourself of your pride and your worth and almost everything, and look at yourself at face value.
hmm
And we're never as pretty as we think we are. We really just aren't.
yep,
But again, kudos to that for coming out because, like I said, right now you kind of on top, you're looking good.
trying.
Like you said, the grind never really ends. But this weekend, like I said, you got your first title defense against. Well, he's coming back, big move for Desmond Cole.
Yep.
Um, that's gonna be a good match. Have you ever faced him before?
I have not, and like I said, I think he was big on my bucket list, and that being able to check that off right off rip, first thing in the new year, first show in the new year, um, giving him a fair shot, you know, and testing myself because I've seen his stuff, I've seen the level he works. I feel me and him are very similar in senses, and I feel like the way that we both came into Focus Pro was very similar. You know, we knew how to we captivated that fan base. You know, the fans resonated with us. They vibed with us. We was able to bring a whole
It's gonna
different
be
type of
interesting because you're
energy.
both fan favorites. I think both fans like both of you guys. It's gonna be another kind of Marcus Mather with both these guys, and people are gonna be divided on, who they want to see victorious. With Tyree, it was kind of easy to see Tyree the bad guy. People were kind of sick of his shit. So, you were able to go in there and take that. And I think that's kind of hard in general, just being the champion that is liked because how do you stay being liked? And you see it even in like the bigger leagues. Is sometimes the babyface champions don't stay in that light long, or they have struggles because the fans start getting bored.
Exactly. And
Um,
that's a challenge. That's a challenge that I'm well aware of, but that's a challenge that I'm always willing to take. I'm always down to take challenges, man, and challenges like excite me, because it causes me to think. It causes me to have to think outside the box, and when I start doing that, I think that's when I really like am and uh am able to really tap into to stuff. Um, and it's good learning experience, you know, because this is going to be the first time I'm ever in a situation like that. So
yeah,
if things flop right off rip, the next time I'm presented a situation like that again, at least I've got experience and I'll be able to know what worked and what didn't work. You
it's
know,
like your first Super Bowl as QB. You walking in there, you're gonna see what it's like on that stage. Um, but I think don't sell yourself short either. You might have not have been in that position, but you've been at that level before. You've had these types of matches before where you're fighting these kind of level of opponents. Might
nah,
not be him personally, but these level of opponents.
nah,
Now you
straight up.
mentioned he was on your bucket list. Who else you got on that list? Who do you want to like, kind of face in 25? You got any people?
Listen, oh man, quite frankly, honestly, Dijak is number one for me, dude. Uh, I he is somebody that I know will give me a run for the money and is the ultimate test. Um, he's number one on my list singles wise right now. Um, when we talking singles, I would love, like I said, I would love to run it one on one with BMT, BRG, and
Big.
if we're talking tag and we talking like Dream, just trying to throw it out there, Neighborhood versus Hardys, that's something that I want so bad. The Hardy Boys were huge inspirations for both Kid and I, and that is something that I believe can be possible, but you
Hey,
never
it can
know.
happen. Like, I mean, not for nothing, but like, I don't think like 10 or 5 whatever years ago, the main event thought they'd be working the Hardy Boys, and then there's the main event working the Hardy Boys.
100%, right? So
You
you
know,
never
so
really
like
never say
it
never.
does happen. I think things are tangible. It's just trying to make it work. If this is your goal, you work towards that. And you try to just things try to line things up to work towards that. But things definitely can happen. And that's what I think is so cool about the NEC because you're saying these rematch, but half of it might happen next month. You never know how things fall.
Exactly, and there's some matches that I want to run back, because there was when I wrestled these people the first time, I was still so new, I was still so green. Like I think it was 4 or 5 months into my first year on live shows, I got to wrestle Anthony Green. Um, and now the performer I was 3 years ago to where I am now is completely different. I would love to mix it up with Anthony Green now.
That would
The
be
same
great too.
the same thing with Brian Malonis. If I know he's been teasing things online about possibly coming back in a business type deal, and if he ever does decide, I would love to have a real one-on-one with Brian Malonis because me and Brian, we kind of it was a cash and carry contract kind of deal in APW when he was Atlantic Pro Wrestling champion, and I came up short. Uh, but I want to have a solid one-on-one for real with him. Uh, so yeah, those are JT Dunn. I'm gonna put that there too. He is somebody that I've gotten to share the ring with in a multi-person match, but one-on-one, I really like. I've seen his work, dude, and like he was champion when the unit was popping when I popped in, like when I first
Yep.
started going to
Unit was
chaotic
really on
shows.
fire then. I mean,
And
I think that was probably a very. It was weird because New England didn't have a lot of stables, but it was like this stable that people just love, and like
mhm,
it worked, and it went through different. People were talking unit up, and every promotion there was these guys were working. It was cool to see.
hell yeah. So yeah, those are excuse me, those are a few names right off rip that I could just
What
think
about the
of.
current champion right now? You got Ricky Smokes, another ID.
Yep, he is definitely so. Ricky Smokes, yeah. I got to again. I think I've cross paths with him and just multi people matches, just never one-on-one. He is
One-on-one
definitely
single.
one I would love to go against. Gal as well. I started training when Gal first came to the States, and then to see where bro's at now, I still didn't get that match with him, and he's definitely number one. He's always supported me and like been on, so it's just like all right, he's shown me a lot of respect, and I've always appreciated that.
No, a lot of great wrestlers, and like I said, we got a rich talent pool in New England with a lot of young, bright individuals. That do the right things out there. They really do. They've made great strides in short time, but they're also wrestlers and people that other people can look up to and learn from too. They're not out there being selfish, just kind of cutting everybody out, getting to the top.
Yep.
So it's good to see people getting there the right and the natural way. I got a few more questions, few more minutes. Is there any promotions you're trying to get to in 25?
Funny you say. Yeah, I have quite a few, man. I have. Kid and I want to start pushing outside of New England this year as much as possible. So some of the promotions that kind of come to mind for me, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, is one. GCW be another. ROW Reality of Wrestling is something that we wanted to do last year, but 9 to 5 conflicted with it. So this year we're really trying to spend some time, trying to make some time to at least spend a week out in Houston. Um, Limitless Wrestling, I've yet to debut for, and that's something that I want to check off this year. Wrestling Open and beyond too. So those are just a few right off rip that I'm like are my goals right now. Um, and my goals always change, dude, because you never know when these opportunities come. I could say that now, and then I check off most of these in the first 6 months. Now I got to make new
Yeah, it could
goals.
happen. Everything changes up. That's the thing. Like, I mean, all of a sudden you're fighting, your bucket list boofer, next week it might be, you might get an opportunity at done or this or that. You never know what happens. Like, who pops up, who gives you a call saying, hey, we need you to come in. And all of a sudden, like you said, that whole list is just checked out. It's like, okay, new list. Well, here's my rest of my people,
Right.
the rest of my promotions. But I mean, that's a solid start. And I mean, those promotions all are, like I said, I mean, it's got some of the best, whether it's Beyond, Limitless, Focus, Pro. I mean, these are all high end names, getting the name out there, IWTV, getting the exposure, people across the country watching and talking about it. And again, there's promotions across the country that that do well. There's stuff in LA, in California, there's places down south in Florida, Ohio. There's wrestling all over the place. It's kind of a funny thing. We live in like
Florida is
a bubble.
definitely
We
one I
think
want
it's
to check
only
off.
here, but every state almost has pro wrestling. It's like, and each state has good wrestlers, or at least one or two. There's not just a whole state of bad wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, there's a whole world of wrestling out there. Not even to mention now the international scene that's thriving. Places like the Nordics, like in Finland and stuff, wrestling's popped up, and people going to Germany, people going to Japan. Talking AG, he's been back and forth to Noah multiple times. He's not the same guy he from 3 years ago.
Nope, not at all.
So it's great to see. So do you have any strategies in going into your match with Boofa tomorrow night?
Um, nothing that I don't do already. I do my tape study, and based off the tape study, I just do what I always do. I'm always conditioning myself, trying to stay ready. I'm always trying to think about new, unorthodox, unique ways to execute things, build to things. I know probably my biggest thing is going to be having to slow Bufa down. And that's been one of the things in the last 2 weeks that I've been trying to game plan on how to do so. Um, and I think with what I've been cooking up, things should be going according to plan, hopefully. But I just been trying to think about new ways to slow it down and pick it back up, because I could speed up too, but I can only speed up when I can control it, and the only way that I can control it is by slowing him down. So that's been one of the biggest things I've been approaching towards my training leading up to tomorrow.
Yes, and again, we can't wait. I just want to let and remind people that there has been a venue change for that event. It was originally going to be at the Widowmaker. It's now going to be at the Battle House Z in Weymouth, Mass. That's 95 Woodrock Road, Weymouth, Mass. General admission still $20. Seating stage 35, limited. Doors will be open at 7. Bell time at 8. For those
Yes,
that didn't
sir.
know, unfortunately, the town and such got something happened with the town and some kind of the what I was told, the pizza and a propane tank, and town being a town and violations, the Widowmaker couldn't operate. And luckily, though, they found a venue and they got in and everything worked out fine. And the show goes on, and it's exciting to see, because sometimes these shows don't get on and they get canceled. That's just even more of a bummer. So
Yep,
everybody gets all in for nothing.
100%.
But we're here for it. We can't wait to see you. Got one more question, and that is it. Well, besides tomorrow night, where can people find you wrestling, and where can they find you online?
Shee, man, you can find me. This is my podcast, so we have a podcast, the Neighborhood Pod, available on all
I was gonna say
platforms.
you do your own podcast too. That please talk about that
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So, yeah, I ain't gonna go too much detail, but it's just another avenue for you guys, for people to kind of just interact and get to know us and follow our journey. Um, but if you want to find me on socials, you can find me on the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok. That's Monty Aries, MANIARIEZ, baby. And on the X/Twitter, it is Aries_Monty with a S, man. And you could find me popping up at Focus Pro tomorrow night. You can find me at Atlantic Pro Wrestling. You can find me in EWA. You can find me at Rad Pro Wrestling. You know, just few of the many promotions that I aspire and continue to try to work for, man. Those are just few of them, but definitely check those promotions out if you're in the area. Pop in. If you're not, go pay and watch it. You know what I'm saying? Support independent wrestling. You could also find me at Next Gen Pro Wrestling Center over here in Auburn, New Hampshire, 15 King Street. And we could roll around a little bit or not. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for your time, sir. Good luck tomorrow night. I think you're gonna do just great, though. Honestly, I heard the
Wait,
crowd at the end of that last match, man. They were
wait a
behind
minute.
it.
Can I thank you? Because aren't you the one that sponsored the Desmond Cole match and Monty Aries match?
I did, yes.
Thank you. You know what I'm saying? That means a lot to me. You're my first ever sponsor for a match, man. So
Well,
like that
you're
was real
welcome.
cool, man. Thank you so
You've
much.
earned that shot. You've earned the title, and honestly, I can't wait to see what this reign holds for you, because the sky's the limit. I've seen what you've done up to here, and like I said, you've been someone I've been watching for a while. Like I said, I remember back. Like I said, years ago, and probably one of your earlier matches. I think you were working at that pop up wrestling with my friend Ty over there, and doing tag team work. And I was like, this dude's awesome. You had the hair, you had the Yessir and everything, and it's just like that stuff sticks.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm just trying to
But
do it, man.
yes, we will see you definitely tomorrow. And thank you everybody at home for watching. Like I said, if you can't get out there tomorrow, watch it on IWTV. Because it's going to be a must see match. Maybe even the match of the year, because you got two of the most energetic, most loved wrestlers right now on the scene, crushing
God,
head to head, like Ultimate Warrior Hogan style. It's going to be wild. That's all
man.
happening to our Focus Pro. Thank you very much. And as always, thank you, everybody. Support indie wrestling. Versace Stunner out.
Yes, sir.